In the year 2056, Earth's environment has reached a catastrophic state. Only the rich can afford to live inside air domes that protect them from pollution. Big corporations have replaced governments, and wars are now fought through corporate armies. All attempts to find a livable place in space have failed. You're watching CineDigest, and this is Movie Recapped. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more awesome stories. A company called Nebra owns a space research station named Rubicon, the last active base still trying to solve Earth's environmental crisis. One day, Nebra sends Commander Hannah and chemist Gavin to inspect Rubicon using a shuttle named Navicon. But the mission quickly becomes complicated when they discover that the station isn't at its designated coordinates. Hannah is forced to perform a dangerous maneuver to dock the shuttle manually. Once aboard, the crew suspects the malfunction came from the shuttle itself. They're also not happy that Hannah's from the military, something they noticed from the implant in her neck. After requesting a report on the malfunction and visiting the algae farm, Hannah goes to her room to call her sister Napf, who's also in the military. Both sisters grew up poor and only joined the military for the paycheck. The call suddenly cuts off when Napf gets called into an emergency. Later, the Rubicon crew celebrates because most of them are returning to Earth now that Hannah and Gavin have arrived to replace them. Plus, 3 new members are expected soon. The team leader, Dr. Dmitri, is friendly and invites them to play cards, but his son Danilo acts hostile toward Gavin because he comes from a rich family that lived safely inside a dome. Hannah stops the fight before it escalates. Later, she reviews the report and finds out the flight path was changed because of a strange cloud covering the northern hemisphere right over the city where most environmental activists live. Hundreds are already dead, shocking Gavin, who used to be one of those activists. Hannah agrees to follow the new route and then checks on Gavin, who's trying to reach Earth through the communication room with no success. She offers to contact Nebra since she has a direct line, but Gavin refuses. He doesn't trust anything that comes from corporations. The next day, everyone leaves the station except Dmitri, Gavin, and Hannah. Danilo takes the algae samples Nebra requested, and Dmitri promises to keep them safe, though his behavior seems off. Later, Hannah contacts her superiors and tells them she suspects the samples were tampered with. But Nebra doesn't care. They inform her about a new plan called Project Icarus and order her to prepare it within days. She needs to learn how Dmitri built his algae system that produces both food and oxygen. But every time she tries to get near the farm unnoticed, Dmitri is already there watching her. After a while, they receive a distress signal from the crew who left earlier. They say they're lost and can't reach Earth. Hannah tries contacting them herself, but there's no response. So she goes on a spacewalk to check the communication array, and suddenly the crew screams that they're burning alive before the transmission cuts off. Then Hannah sees the entire Earth covered in a strange brown haze. When she returns, she tries to reach Earth again. No luck. Dmitri collapses in grief over his son. Hannah opens her tablet and finds a message from her sister saying chaos has broken out and the military is evacuating civilians into bunkers. 2 days later, there's no response from Earth. Gavin runs atmospheric tests trying to figure out what caused the haze. He believes it's behind the navigation issues, but there's no way it could have spread that fast. Dmitri locks himself in his room. Hannah tries comforting him, bringing food, but he throws her out. Later, Hannah starts building a new radio from spare parts, but notices Gavin acting strange. His tests confirm Earth's air is now toxic. He loses hope and tries to harm himself. Hannah saves him with Dimitri's help. Once Gavin wakes up, Dimitri treats him, but doesn't seem to care if he lives or dies.
Hannah confronts Dimitri, saying she knows his algae system is far more advanced than he's reported. He admits he hid the truth because he thought she was a corporate spy. When Hannah insists the project belongs to Nebra since they funded it, Dimitri snaps, saying the project belongs to him and his son. When Gavin wakes up, he reveals the haze is poisonous and that everyone on Earth is dead. Gavin panics, so Dimitri sedates him, telling Hannah they're safe on the station. The algae system will sustain them for years. Hannah keeps working on her radio, convinced someone in the domes must still be alive. But when she tries contacting them, no one answers. When Gavin recovers, he explains that the haze was caused by a gas reaction from thawing permafrost, something scientists had warned about. Some bunkers might have enough oxygen for a while, but everyone there will eventually die. Gavin hates the idea of living in a metal box with just 2 people, but Dimitri stops him from ending his life, saying the system needs 3 people to work properly. They produce CO2 and the algae convert it into oxygen. Gavin decides to live. Over time, he grows closer to Hannah and they bond over their shared failures in life, eventually spending the night together. Weeks later, Hannah notices the algae turning brown. Dimitri tells her not to worry, but secretly takes a sample and tests it. The results terrify him. Instead of revealing the truth, he invites them to drink and play cards. During that night, Gavin learns Hannah really was spying for Nebra. Dimitri confesses that he sent fake algae samples with his son because the company planned to sell the technology only to the rich. His son refused and wanted to release it freely. Sometime later, Hannah discovers she's pregnant and the algae keep turning darker. Around the same time, the station receives a signal from Nebra survivors, 300 people inside a dome running out of oxygen, begging for the algae project. Hannah is shocked they even know about it, meaning they're all corporate elites. Meanwhile, Dimitri finds out their food is contaminated. When Hannah and Gavin tell him about the survivors, he refuses to help, saying returning to Earth is impossible since their shuttle was destroyed. Gavin insists they must save them, but Dimitri refuses, blaming those people for his son's death. Soon after, Hannah feels unwell. Dimitri takes a blood sample under the pretense of running tests and reveals she's pregnant. He explains that her hormones are reacting with the algae, which is why they're changing color. He warns her that her baby would die if she returns to Earth, but Hannah insists on leaving. Gavin hesitates, but ultimately chooses to stay by her side. They prepare for the mission, but the shuttle malfunctions. Its cooling system fails. Hannah detaches it before it explodes, leaving them trapped forever. Gavin gets angry and contacts Nebra behind her back. They ask him about Project Icarus, and Hannah admits that was her real mission. Once she retrieved the samples, she was supposed to detach the lab and crash it onto Earth. But the lab wasn't built to carry people and can't be steered. Gavin decides to try anyway, but Hannah hesitates. Then she discovers someone sabotaged the cooling system. It was Dimitri. She attacks him and forces him to activate the Icarus system himself. During that, Dimitri realizes Nebra sent Hannah on purpose because they knew the catastrophe was coming and let humanity die. Hannah starts doubting everything. When they finally contact Earth, she learns the bunkers were reserved only for the rich while soldiers were left outside, meaning her sister is dead. Hannah breaks down. Gavin tries to convince her to complete the mission, but she refuses to save people who abandoned everyone else. To her, staying on the station is safer for her child than returning to Earth's hell. Later, Hannah removes the chip from her neck and sleeps. She wakes up to find Gavin tying up Dimitri, trying to launch the lab himself. At the last second, she pushes him away and disables the system, stopping him. Sometime later, she receives a message from Earth, but deletes it without listening. She then finds out Gavin sacrificed himself. She and Dimitri hold a small farewell and release his body into space. Now, only the 2 of them remain. Hannah decides to fix the Icarus system so she can one day reach Earth. Dimitri finally breaks down and confesses his earlier lie. The system never needed 3 people. He made that up to stop Gavin from killing himself. Years pass. Hannah gives birth to a baby girl and names her Knopf, after her sister. One day, the child finds the old radio and starts playing with it, and suddenly a voice comes through from Earth saying there are survivors in the South, asking them to join. And that's the end of today's movie.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to CineDigest for more amazing stories with Movie Recapped.